We're
Okay,
live.
okay, there we go. Okay, good.
Hey, how you
This is
guys
this is
doing?
Athena.
This is KLA, Clyde the Wanderer. Clyde don't go against nature. I have a special guest. Her name is Heather Tillary. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm all right. How's where you at? The weather?
It's a little cold. It's
Oh, it's
what's in the
cold.
30s. Yeah, it's not
Okay.
too bad.
Around here, yeah, it's the same thing where I'm at. I'm in New York, and it's not that cold. I stepped outside to get something. It wasn't cold at all. I'm kind of
Well,
ready
that's
for.
the difference in New York and Atlanta is because 30s to you is not cold, and it is cold to
Yeah.
us.
Oh yeah.
It
So
did get down to 6 degrees here a few weeks ago, and that was rough. That's the coldest I think it's
oh
ever been here.
okay. So why don't you tell the viewers how you got started in bodybuilding?
So I actually was quite chunky through college and started dating a guy that was really fit and into the gym. And I started running first and ended up having to have knee surgery after a couple of years of running. I just ate the cartilage out of my right knee. And looking for another avenue, I started lifting weights. Never had any intention on competing. If you had asked me back then, I would have told you I didn't like the way those girls looked. Big difference now, obviously. Um, I moved up to Atlanta to go to grad school, and I had a gym owner approach me, and he was like, "You really should consider competing." And my husband at the time was like, "No, you're not doing that." And so I ended up convincing him. And about 2 years later, I did my first show in bikini, and was told like, "Hey, your legs are too muscular." And wellness wasn't a division back then, but was told that I was too muscular for bikini to upgrade. And so I took 2 years off and tried to grow into figure. In 2018, I did my first figure show and I got third. Both the girls that beat me ended up going pro that same year. And then in 2020, I did figure and crossed over into women's physique. And I got third in figure there. And then I won the overall in women's physique. And so when I competed in 2022, I told myself I was just going to do women's physique. And then I ended up getting a little smaller throughout my prep and decided to jump into figure and did both this year as well and ended up winning and then going to North Americans and getting my pro card in figure, which I almost didn't even
Uh,
do. So it's kind of crazy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you get your pro card on in figure. So you're gonna
Yeah.
compete. So you go so let's say like if you wanted to do like physique, could you move on? Would it still be effective, the pro card?
Yeah, so when you go pro, you don't go pro in a division, you just earn your pro league status. So I could
Okay.
compete in any division I chose. Now, I
Okay.
don't think they let you cross over at the same show, so I couldn't do figure and physique at the same show, but
Okay.
I could do figure in one show and physique in another and see where they like me best if I chose to.
Okay. How's your journey been like?
Since I
Doing
went pro
body,
or just in
yeah,
general?
in general, like in fitness or you know.
So I have a very weight loss resistant body. Most of my preps are pretty rough. Like I have to do about 2 hours of cardio and eat as minimal food as I can sustain to be able to get there. Until 2020, when I did my show, and my coach is Matt Jansen, who is an incredible bodybuilding coach, and he told me he was like, I've never had this much trouble getting someone lean before. I think something bigger is going on here. And so I went and had a bunch of lab work done, and my hormones were extremely imbalanced. I was incredibly estrogen dominant. And so, and then also I was in like a stage 4 adrenal fatigue. So my metabolism had slowed down tremendously just from stressing it out so much. And so we took 12 weeks off from all hard training. I was allowed to go to the gym like twice a week, do an upper body day and a lower body day, very light and very minimal cardio. I had to cut out all caffeine and stimulants. And I ended up having my fallopian tubes removed because I needed to come off of birth control. And I've never
Mm,
wanted children. So it was just a decision that I made at the time. And
Mm.
so my 2022 prep was the best prep I've ever had. I was in a very good spot the whole time. I was hungry, but I never felt like I really, really had to suffer for it. Um, and it was the first time my legs had gotten lean. So that hormonal imbalance really made a big difference when I got it corrected.
Mm. Well, that's a lot. That's kind of.
Yeah.
And so your
I don't
husband,
think,
like, no, I was gonna
sorry, I don't
ask,
think,
like, now go ahead, go ahead.
I said, I don't think people realize how hard the sport can be on our bodies sometimes. We really push ourselves, especially when you're at that level of conditioning. You got to make sure you're healthy after the shows.
Yeah. How do you like what keeps you going in this sport? Because it's like, it's like a sport where you kind of you're by yourself, and you got to train and work, and you have to do this type of training and intensive training, and then all that you have to be in front of a crowd of people like 3 minutes,
Yeah.
and what you have
Yeah.
to do.
It's a 24/7 sport, that's for sure. Um, I do focus a lot in my off season on finding good balance with life and the sport. I still go to the gym, I still follow a meal plan 90% of the time, but I will have a free meal around social events. I make time for my friends, even when I'm in prep.
Yeah.
I can be around food and just take my own. Like that's not a big problem for me. And making sure that the relationships that I have built don't get put on the back burner just because I'm in the middle of a very selfish time. I have a very good support system. Most of my friends either work out or compete or at least understand. And so there's not a lot of external pressure not to do it. So having that support system has made a big difference as well. And my husband is amazing. Like when I was in prep, he made all of my meals for me, cooked all of my bulk item foods, just really tried to make it as easy for me as possible, which I think also made a big difference for this prep because I had a lot less to worry about.
Yeah, I see a picture him with you working out, and he's helping
Yeah.
you and stuff. Like, it was one of the questions I was gonna ask you. You know, what I was gonna ask you. I said, to how do you get support from him to inspire you, to motivate you and stuff like that?
Well, we push each other. He is just now getting into strongman training, which I think is awesome. So having him find his own avenue in the gym, I think is going to be good for him. But
Yeah.
he's not a competitor. He's never competed before. I'm actually the first competitor he's ever dated and obviously married. But it was one of the things that we had conversations going into where I was like, listen, I'm a competitor. This is how my life is. Know this up front. If it's not okay with you, then go find someone that doesn't do it. you know and but he's just incredibly supportive of anything that makes me happy, and he knows that this is going pro was something I had dreamed about for 6 years, and it
Yeah.
wasn't something that I was going to put aside. But I also feel like when someone really cares for you, they want you to do the things that make you happy and want to support you through them. and
Right.
um and he does.
I always kind of like wondered like what it'd be like to marry a bodybuilder, because a lot of guys, they have a thing. Yeah, there's guys out there, they have a thing for bodybuilders.
Hmm.
You have a lot of fans, and you have a
Yeah.
fan right now. My man Rolando G. Hey, Cla, he's
Hi.
saying hi to
I didn't
you.
know people could comment. That's cool.
Yeah, he says I'm here, KLA. Great to see Pro Card Heather in the IFBB.
Yeah,
So
hopefully we'll
so
do my pro debut in 2024.
Okay, so you cutting back on this year? I mean, this year, 2023. No
2023 is
plans.
a growth. No, it's a growing year. My feedback from North Americans was that I needed to come in a little wider in my upper body, and
Right.
growth takes time. Plus, Zach, my husband and I, we got married. This is our anniversary, actually. It's our 1 year anniversary today.
Oh,
We got we got married the week I started prep, and so
oh,
I promised him, and I prepped for 9 months, and so I promised him after that show that I would take a full year off to again have that work life balance. and spend that time with him and focus on our marriage and relationship. And so
Mm,
we're taking this year off just to have a healthy, happy body and put on as much muscle as possible without looking sloppy. And then we'll
mm.
probably start prep in January of 2024.
Oh, okay, okay. So, how was you could tell me your experience in like with the world class championship that you was participating.
Oh,
I
North
think
Americans?
yeah.
Yeah, so that was my first time at a national level show. I had always just done regional qualifiers, and although I had qualified for a national level show, I just never felt that I was ready. Um, I flew up to Pittsburgh on Monday, competing on Friday. Matt Jansen was out there the beginning of the week, and I remember going to his hotel room to pose and for him to look at me. And I was so nervous because I'm an online athlete with him. He lives in Florida, I live in Georgia. And so you never know if your pictures are communicating what you really look like. And he was like, "Are you shaking because you're nervous or because something's going on?" And I was like, "No, you just haven't seen me in person in like 4 years. And I don't want you to tell me I'm not ready." I was like, "Because I don't think I'm lean enough. I'm not ready." And he's like, "Can you please get out of your head?" He's like, "You're really inflamed because you just had this long flight and you're still training and doing cardio." So we pulled my cardio out Wednesday. We tried cutting water on Wednesday. My body doesn't respond to that, and I actually gained like 6 pounds, which I think is why I was going a little crazy. And
Mm,
I told Matt, which is one reason I love him because he listens. I said I am a person that holds water. If you take away my water, I drink 2 gallons a day every day consistently. Like my body will freak out without it. And he
uh,
said, "Okay, let's try this out. Let's resume your normal water activity." And I lost 6 pounds overnight. And so the next day I felt a lot better. And Matt saying, "I wouldn't have let you come here if I didn't feel like you were ready." And I actually remember saying to him, "I feel better about figure than I do women's physique." And he was like, "Really?" Because I had no intention on doing figure. It was something we decided at like 5 weeks out from the regional qualifier for me to jump into. And I said, "Yeah, I just, like on Instagram, you see other people that are going to be doing the show."
yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, there's girls in women's physique that have 10, 15 pounds on me lean." And it just depends on what the judges are looking for. If they're going to go over shape or size or whatever, they're just as conditioned, if not more, and they're bigger. So, and I was against some amazing women's physique athletes. I ended up placing fourth in physique, but I did win my figure class. And in my feedback, they told me like, "You're more fitting for figure right now. Maybe you could do women's physique in the future if you continue growing." So,
okay.
but it was
How do
amazing. I met
you
a lot of really cool people.
yeah? How do you feel about like the Arnold Classic dropping women's physique?
Well, they dropped figure too.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
dropped a lot of women's divisions, and then they're going to increase
Okay.
the male bodybuilding prize money to $300,000. It's disheartening for the sport to me,
All right.
especially as a figure and women's physique fan. I I like seeing the women work hard. In women's physique and figure. There's not saying anything against bikini or wellness athletes because wellness athletes have to get really lean, but bikini athletes aren't supposed to be quite as lean as women's physique or figure. So for
Yeah,
me,
so I hear.
the it's a different just a different division, and I feel like if you're going to have a show that's supposed to represent like, oh, this is the second biggest show in the US, then it should represent all the divisions.
Yeah. Uh, where do you see bodybuilding like in 10 or 20 years? If I could if going fast forward to the future.
It either won't exist or everybody is going to be insanely muscular. It'll go one way or
Yeah.
the other, I think. I we got to I think they got to rein back in a little bit of it in regards to pushing size just because of people's long-term health. So I'm hoping that it steers more towards, let's find a good balance between what we're
Yeah.
looking for. But a lot of the time, it's just a size game.
Yeah, because there was a time, I see the wellness girls, they getting buff too.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there was
they respectable muscle.
there was a time where you know, like in the 80s and 90s, it was like it was on TV, it was popular. Well, you know, I don't want to say popular, but I think it had more playtime than now. Like it
Hmm.
was on TV, and you was able to catch it. Like I don't know, were you like looking at that at the time, like bodybuilding at the time?
No, I didn't really follow bodybuilding much at all until I started competing in it. And even then I couldn't when I first started, I couldn't tell you who any of the big players were. It took me
Right.
falling in love with figure, honestly, and women's physique before I ever really kind of got into it. And I know a lot of competitors now that have no idea who the male bodybuilders are or any of the politics in it, which I kind of like being absent from any kind of politics in bodybuilding, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I used to look at, like Linda Murray and Corey
Hmm.
Everson and that all these women and stuff. I was kind of intrigued, and I was fascinated by it. And the male bodybuilders, I don't really like pay attention to them now like before I did, like Lee
Hmm.
Haney and Dorian Yates and other players. But I didn't really. I started kind of like learning like the politics of it, like a little by little,
Hmm.
by listening to other, people talk about the sport in general. But you have all the raised George Page. He has a question. Yeah, that is not cool. I like the women more anyway. You FBB physique women rock Arnold Classic is owned by other distributors. It's ridiculous, not good at all. We have to push more. And he also says, yeah, the wellness was great back in early middle 1990s was golden years. I was Betty Paricio.
Yeah, I don't know if wellness was around in the US back then. I think it was more new, but it was definitely over in like the European countries they had wellness.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I think the women's in the sport are just as respectable. You know, it's just, I guess they're putting money where the money comes from.
Okay. So what's posing like for you? Like,
What do you, how often?
is it difficult, or like, how often do you practice? That's what I'm trying to ask.
In my off season, not so much because
Oh,
um, I pose a little bit when I do my check ins weekly, and then everybody poses in the gym. It's just what bodybuilders do, you know. But in prep, I will pose every single day. It's
okay. Oh,
there's certain poses that are harder for me, like my back poses are very difficult because they hurt. And then
oh,
my front double with women's physique is a difficult one because when I did North Americans, I crossed my front leg over, and they didn't like that. They wanted me with my legs split, like you see a lot of the girls now with their legs open like this, and they said it
right.
looks more symmetric that way. But because of my wonky knee, it's really hard for me to kind of you kind of have to sit into your heels and then turn your knees outward to kind of get the lines in your legs to come fully out, and it's just uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. So you planning to work on your back and other parts? How's the workout routine like? And how often do you stay like in the gym? Like, if I could ask that question.
I do cardio 6 days a week just as a maintenance. I do weight training 5 days a week. I have back in 2020, I switched from a hamstring day and a quad day to a one leg day a week because my feedback now is don't grow my lower body at all. Um, and so now I do 2 back days. I do one more focused on width and one more focused on density, and then I have a shoulder day, leg day, and then I have what's called a push day, which is I use it more as a touch up day. Like I'll do a little bit of chest, I'll hit a little bit of shoulders, and then I do abs 3 days a week.
Okay. So you're a heart failure coordinator and a nurse practitioner.
I
Could you
am.
talk about that profession if you can?
Yeah, sure. So I am a nurse practitioner. I started off at a hospital in North Georgia and built a program there for patients that were too sick with their heart failure and either they needed some kind of assistance. And so it's called a left ventricular assist device. It's a mechanical pump that goes in the heart for patients
Mm.
that either aren't a transplant candidate or are awaiting a heart transplant. I ended up getting really overwhelmed there. I was on call 24/7 for like 2 years, 2 years every single day on call all night long. And so I had to figure out something else. And now I'm at a different hospital system in the Atlanta area, and I coordinate all of their heart failure programs. So I see my heart failure patients, but not as much anymore. Now I'm more avenued in program building and quality control for the heart failure programs within my hospital system. So there's 4 campuses.
Oh, okay. So how often do you see like clients or patients?
Patients, I have interaction with them every day, but I'm not the one treating them anymore
Oh, okay.
because I work in administration. So I have nurse practitioners under me that are actively treating the patients, and they'll call me with questions, but I now more manage the other nurse practitioners.
Oh, okay. Um, I noticed you practice like math. I mean craft maga, like it's like a martial arts
Krav Maga, yeah, it's a Israeli
manga
jiu-jitsu.
jujitsu. Okay, like
Yeah,
how
I
effective?
just got my yellow belt a
Oh
couple of days
yeah,
ago. So yeah.
what stages is that? How far does that take you?
So I actually started taking Krav Maga while I was in prep last year. And so
Okay,
um orange belt is the first, I mean white belt's the first belt, then there's orange belt, then there's yellow belt. And then camo, purple, blue, green, brown, red, black. So I'm like way down here still. Very wax on,
yeah.
wax off phase. But I like Krav Maga because it's very self-defense based. It's not a lot of choreography. So we're not worried about it being pretty. We're worried about defending ourselves. So it's a lot
Right.
of it's a lot of defense and counter attacking. It's very cool.
Oh,
I
okay.
feel very, very badass when I'm doing it.
Do you spar with people or?
I spar with my instructor. I take private lessons right now because it just fits my schedule better. But as I advance more into my camo and blue belt, I will spar with other people.
Oh, okay. Okay. I noticed. Are you an MMA fan?
I'm actually not. I don't watch
No.
MMA at all. I know.
Oh,
I I don't like watching people punch each other. Just I like football. Um, but no, I just enjoy doing it, but I don't really watch
okay.
it.
It's more like a meditation for you, if I could say that.
Yeah, it is it's a mental health thing. It's a good avenue for frustration or just honestly, it's another physical outlet outside of bodybuilding that
Right.
helps me be active in a different way. It's a lot of quick twitch muscle fibers and not the slow twitch that we use in bodybuilding. Trying to be more of a well-rounded athlete instead of just like this dense like muscle person that can't bend over and tie their shoes.
What made you want to do it? What made you want to do that? Just a curiosity. I just.
Well, I live in Atlanta and it's kind of scary here sometimes.
Right.
There's a lot of knife and gun crime, and although I think my muscle is a deterrent, sometimes I had my instructor goes to the same gym I do. He approached me while I was on the stair climber and gave me the self defense flyer for a 6 week swimming course, and it was 6 Saturdays in February of last year, and I went and I fell in love with it. I was like, no, I want to be able to defend myself if anything ever happens. And I think as women we need to be hard to kill. We don't need to be these prissy little not able to protect ourselves. Like anybody can do this at any level, even just the basic self-defense courses, but we got to learn to protect ourselves and be prepared for any scenario because the world's a crazy place.
Yeah. I mean, like even not. I don't think it's just women, but even then, sometimes we can be people can be vulnerable at any
Oh
given
yeah.
situation. So, so I kind of understand that. I do meditation stuff. I practice Falun Dafa, and it's like 5 exercises, and we study like principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, stuff. It's
Cool.
kind of, yeah, it kind of like it's more of the mind thing. Really, it's more of improving the mind and stuff.
Well, strength of
Yeah,
mind is important. That's how you
yeah,
build discipline.
yeah. So, I noticed you have like IG page. It has like these Vikings photos and stuff. What's the significance of that, if you can tell me?
Not much. I wanted to do a themed photo shoot that I hadn't seen much of before. And I was watching the show Vikings and I was like, these women are badass. Like, I'm going to be a Viking shield maiden. And I found all this stuff on Etsy. And I have a girlfriend, Sage Ash. She owns Remington Productions on Instagram and she did an
Yeah.
amazing job. Those were her horses. But it was just a Viking spirit, just having some fun with the camera.
Okay. What's it like working with like these productions, these photography productions?
Well, Sage is actually a good friend of mine, so I'm very comfortable with her.
Oh,
I like working with her because she does a lot of model direction. I like photographers that give direction. Even I know how to pose. I can pose myself, but even they have a different eye and they can tell me like, hey, this is flipped over. You need to do this, or hey, your hair's in your face, stuff like that. And Sage does a good job with that.
okay. Who's your favorite character from Vikings? Is it like
Um,
a TV show?
Probably. Yeah, so there's two different Vikings. There's Vikings Valhalla, which I didn't love, and then there's Vikings on Hulu. And I'm actually on the sixth season now. I like Agatha.
Oh,
She's the old wife, And
mm,
then Bjorn is the son that kind of grows up and becomes the king of their realm or whatever. And it's just you need to watch it. It's very cool.
yeah. You ever seen Beowulf, the
Yeah,
movie?
I
Like
have. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed that one. I
it's got
did.
Beowulf vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to read the book, but it's like it's not very easy. It's like you need like cliff notes for the books
For the book.
because it's
I've
yeah
never.
because it's like another language to it. Like, but when I was watching the movie, it was very interesting because I don't know. You seen it? You seen it?
Yeah, I've seen Beowulf
Oh, okay. I just want, but
forever ago.
the
Yeah.
story, yeah, the how he's fighting these demons and all that crazy stuff. You have thank you for your all the raise George pays. Thank you for
Oh,
service
you're
from a
welcome.
person dealing with a heart condition. And you got I Rolando G. I agree. Congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
yellow belt. But yeah, self defense. I need to get into that.
Yeah, look
Um.
it up. It's KravMaga. Krav Maga.
Okay. You want to talk about your site?
My what?
Your website. You have like a website
Oh,
on
yeah. I
fitness.
have the Tillary Fitness. I was sitting there talking. I have a lot of people reach out to me for fitness advice, and
Yeah.
I have learned over time people don't value free advice. They just don't. Because I would give them free advice. I'd send out meal plans. I'd send out training programs, just trying to help people. And people just don't value it. They don't stick to it if they don't pay for it. And so I don't want to prep people. I need to build my knowledge base a little bit more with prep protocols, but I am going to start taking on lifestyle clients for people that just want to get in shape or learn what they're doing in the gym at a very low, affordable cost, unlike a lot of these prep coaches out here. Granted, prep is more intense. Lifestyle is a lot easier to deal with, but I have a master's in health and science, and so it made sense for me to say, well, I can at least help people get healthy and lose weight. And so the website is a way to get in touch with me for that.
How many people you've seen so far? Like,
I have one client so far, but that's just because I just started in January.
okay. How did the client progress, if you can ask?
I can. And her first, so with her, she wants to eventually compete in figure. I have explained to her that we have a long way to go in regards to building that kind of muscle tissue on her frame to be successful with that. And so she's not overweight. She doesn't really need to lose body fat. We just need to gain some muscle. So with her, I'm trying to get her weight up. Um, we started working together at the end of December, realistically, and because with the holidays, there's you can't have a lot of people don't have consistency over the holidays, so we started after that, and in that time frame, her weight's gone up about 2 pounds, but she's had a scan done, body composition scan before she started with me, and a month into it, and she's put on a pound of muscle in a month, which is pretty remarkable, especially because she's all
Mm-hmm.
natural. And if I can get her to eat all of her meals, she'll put on more. We just we have
Mm-hmm.
an issue getting food in. So, but it's fun. It's a learning experience for me, and for her. And I like a lot of communication, and she communicates with me. Like, I want to know how your digestion's doing. I want to know how your energy's doing. I want to know what your lifts are like. I have her send me videos of her training so I can make sure she's doing things correctly, because it's not going to benefit her if we're not doing it
Right.
correctly. Explaining to her what we're doing, why we're training this way, what this muscle, what we're targeting, so that she learns to train intuitively. I don't care so much where your feet are. I want it to where it doesn't hurt your knees and where you feel it in this muscle. Like, what is the intent
Mm-hmm.
behind this exercise? If you're not feeling it in that muscle intended, then we're not doing it correctly. And so it's just like a whole learning process for her, is what's healthy, what it's like to eat 6 times a day, what it's like to train with progressive overload and try to really push the weight up and and she's getting better. She was a little scared at first, I think, training with heavier weights, but
Mm-hmm.
she's made a lot of progress.
What have you learned, like with nutrition wise? Like, oh, you have a degree in nutrition, so
Yeah,
um,
I took some nutrition courses with my master's. I just I I think what I assume a lot of people know, people don't know, like the basics of what is
yeah,
good carbs for you. So many people are afraid of carbs and sugar, or they eat a lot of fruit when they're trying to lose weight, and fruit is very high in sugar. Sugar is sugar.
right.
That's all your body knows. Your body only knows it's getting in sugar. So if you want to lose weight, cut back on the fruit, stuff like that. Um, and
You said
learning
fruit, like, oh,
fruit,
you
like
said like,
strawberries. Yeah, fruit.
is it like
It's very
no, like, but like, cause sometimes it I eat fruit, but I don't always like don't eat it like so often. Like sometimes I'll eat like little cookies and all that stuff. I have a habit of doing that.
yeah.
I know it's not good, but it's like I'm trying to eat more fruits and stuff. But and I know it has sugar, but it has like a different type of sugar than refined sugar. Like
It's
with
not a it's
the
not a processed sugar. But in regards to your blood sugar levels and your insulin sensitivity,
yeah,
your body doesn't know the
yeah,
difference. It's just sugar.
oh,
But sugar is not bad for you. It's bad for you in excess, right? You need carbs, you need sugar. That's where your metabolism and your brain fuel come from. And so you don't want to eliminate. It's not, especially with lifestyle clients, it's not about restricting everything. You know, it's about finding a good balance of where you can be healthy, work towards your goal, and still enjoy some of the things that you're eating. And that's what I like about lifestyle clients, is because there is a little bit of freedom in it. Like my client, she had something. She was like, "Hey, this particular meal is really hard for me to get down," and I'm like, "Okay, well, what can you get down at this time? Like, let's do this. Does this work?" And finding those things that work for each person, like, you know what I mean? But in
yeah. I took
regards
a.
to
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
fruit can be good sometimes pre-workout, like any kind of quick digesting carb, because it goes right into, like, the glycogen gets activated and it goes into your muscle tissue. So if you're going
Yeah.
to eat fruit, I would do it before you work out.
Okay. Cause I took a like couple years back. I took like a 12-week program nutrition class and stuff. I never really used it, but I had like a certificate of that. And
Yeah.
we had to, we had to stay in because I took like a high school equivalency course. And and we had to, like, you like apply for it, and then they'll tell you oh, she blocked up. Hello?
I'm sorry. I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
All right. Is that better? There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It, and we had the they and so the instructor, she was telling us about like the amount of the food that you take in, like in terms of protein, sugar, and stuff like that. Like what food is good for you? Like what's the smart choice of food to get, like vegetables and
Hmm.
fruits, and instead of like stuff like high cholesterol food and stuff like that. So I had to just deal with that. Um, what's the feedback that you get from fans when they send you like artwork and stuff? How do you feel like?
Um, I don't really have fans do that. I've got one person that I follow, and he does a lot of artwork,
Yeah,
like digital artwork, and he's done a few
yeah.
pieces of me and sends it. I love it. I love it when people do it, but he's the only one that's done that, and he's really
Guys, I
talented.
see.
So
Yeah, I seen the picture. I was like, maybe she get, because there's like some bodybuilders, they get a lot of artwork and stuff. So when I seen yours, I thought she probably get like a lot of people send her artwork and stuff like
yeah,
that. How big are
no, not
your
really.
arms though? Or how big are your
Um,
arms?
Probably about 15, 16 inches last time I measured.
Yeah, because I seen it. It's like you got some big arms and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't train them much
If
because for figure they're not needed as much. So
uh, if someone was to make a documentary about you competing, what would you want them to strongly focus on?
um honestly, my last prep, I spent so much time in prayer that I had so much peace through it. And I I asked God that if He gave me this opportunity, that He would help me find ways to speak about Him through it and to bless that whole prep. And He really did. And I would like people to see that. If anything else, I want to be a beacon of love and light in a very dark world. And just to have the avenue to be able to do that and use this platform as a way to do that is what I want out of this more than anything. And so that would, my last prep and just how much I had to lean on him and the peace that he gave me through it, and regardless of what the outcome ended up being, you know,
Mm. Yeah, I seen you. So you go to church and stuff, or are you a
we
church
go to a
person?
church. I am I am a Christian. I pray a lot. I don't go to church a lot like I
Oh,
should because he
okay.
does call us
Yeah.
to fellowship, but I just haven't found one in this area that I love yet.
Mm. I mean, like, I don't think that, in my belief, I'm just saying it. I think, you could reach God anywhere, you know.
I
I
believe
don't
that
think,
too.
yeah, I don't think that church is necessarily like a place of worship.
It definitely,
Um,
in certain circumstances, cannot be, and I I feel him when I'm not at church just as much as I do when I'm there. So
okay. Do you have any advice for anybody that wants to get into bodybuilding?
hire a coach, hire a coach, um, hire a coach at least a year before you want to compete. Let them get to know your body. Let them get to know what works. Let them get to tweak and body comp you a little bit. And don't compete until you feel like you're really ready. Don't do it as like a bucket list item. Get Be ready for the show when you do it. Respect the sport, and just understand that it's going to take a toll on your personal relationships. But to remember when you're hangry, not to take it out around the people, not to take it out on the people that love you around you because they're there to help you. And it's a choice. You're choosing to do this, and if you really wanted to eat something, you could. So don't be a jerk when you're hungry.
I don't know if I touched this question, but what's the expenses that you deal with, like in traveling and all that stuff?
Bodybuilding is incredibly expensive. So I know for females, our suits run about $1,500. And then your Airbnb or hotel, which I usually Airbnb because I like to have a kitchen because I have to be on meal prep. I've stayed in hotels and my whole food is spoiled before, and I don't have a way to cook, which I don't like. and then flights if you're going to a show. Local shows are a lot cheaper because a lot of times, they're in your city or a place you can drive to. And um, for a regional show, I don't you don't need to be there for a full week before you compete, so the hotel expenses aren't as much as they are for like a national show. If you're flying across the country, you want to be there for enough time where the water from the flight falls off before you have to compete so that your body's not in complete shock when you're going into manipulating it. um, but then there's jewelry, there's your tan, there's entry fees. The entry fees for North Americans, I think, were like $350 a division. Makeup if you don't know how to do your own, and then um, photo shoots if you want to do any of those, or something to consider. But the main cost for females are travel and bikini. Your actual suit, and then your coach is an expense that you have to budget in too, like a monthly
Mm,
expense for a coach that knows how to direct you.
yeah. I don't know what to say. That's a lot.
It is, yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. You ain't never thought about, let me just stay fit instead of competing and stuff like that.
So I actually said that if I did not go pro at my last show, that I was going to be finished with competing. But I went
Right.
pro. So now I'm like, okay, well, now I got it, right? I can't be a pro that never competes. But I also fell back
Right.
in love with it my last prep. I had been really burnt out from previous preps because of how hard they were on my body. But since I
Yeah.
got my hormones healthy and my 2022 prep wasn't near as bad as I'm used to, I did fall back in love with bodybuilding.
Mm. Like how the prize money for women is just so low.
Well, because people come to see the big boys.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We know that when we enter the show. So we
Yeah.
still choose to do it. I wish it was
Yeah.
more, especially at the Olympia level, like a more direct ratio of like, hey, they bring in this percent of the fans, they deserve this percent of the prize money. But again, it's just one of those things. Hopefully, it'll get better with time, but I doubt it.
I mean, I don't know, like, with the guys, I get it, but I don't get it. Like, what's so fascinating about the guys compared to the women? Because there are a lot of bodybuilder fans out there. It's not like,
Hmm.
but the thing is they're low key. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They don't. I don't really. I don't think that because I used to I remember they had like this video store with female bodybuilders and different type of stuff. And it'd be like different type of men would go to this store, like this video store, and they would have like business suits and stuff like that. This was like in like I think in the 90s and closed down in the 2000s. But it was kind of like different videos of exotic female bodybuilding, certain
Hmm.
things about, it it was just interesting because it was like there were a lot of fans, but they weren't out there like that. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
all I
experienced
say.
that a little bit too. I get a lot of
Yeah,
like I wear a lot of sweaters and sweatshirts because if I go out in public, especially when I'm lean and you can see like my arms, um, people want to come up and ask if they can like touch me. I'm like, please don't. I'm just a person. Like, please don't touch me. I don't don't know you.
right.
Or I get looked at, like they'll just stare at you, and I'm like, stop freaking staring at me. So I just wear sweaters so that people don't notice.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I
it's
mean,
definitely interesting.
I think the when they're staring, they're like they don't know whether to approach you, but they want to say something. Because sometimes I'm not gonna lie. I remember one time I was passing through like this gym and I seen this lady on a treadmill and she was running and stuff. Her legs was big. And I'm like looking at it. When you look at it, it's like you're a bit mesmerized by that. So,
Yeah.
but then it's like you have to be kind of a bit cautious because you don't want to scare the person. The guy sitting I
Right.
was sitting like in the gym, he's looking at me, so I had to just walk away and stuff. But there's times that I've seen women with muscles and stuff. Some of them I've talked to a little bit, and that was it. But never that further. You have Rolando G. I want to compete someday. I hope I can find a coach. And my man, all the rage George Page, it's crazy how a guy can walk away with nearly half a mil and women get chump change. Yeah, and by the
Yeah.
way, all the rage George Page, he does interviews too.
With
Um,
Rolando and the coach, there's a lot of really good coaches on Instagram. My Instagram's Heather.Tillary. I can direct you to a few of them.
okay. And he also comments, women female bodybuilder need more money. They have the greats Heather like Hell Trevino, Irene Anderson, the Colette Nielsen, Lisa Cross, and others. All the ladies are the best.
We do have a lot of phenomenal ladies in the sport. I do wish that they would pay us more. And hopefully, if we speak out enough, it'll happen, you know?
Uh, I appreciate your time. I mean, you have any last words you want to say, or shout outs,
No,
or anything like that?
not really, just to my Lord and my sweet, sweet husband for putting up with my butt. And thank you so much for all the wonderful comments from everybody. And for you, Cly, I appreciate very much you having me on here. It's been great.
I appreciate you responding to me and giving me a chance
Of
because it's
course, of
not
course.
easy.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not easy getting bodybuilders to talk and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
oh yeah, he
we gotta
also
test you
says,
out first. I
yeah,
feel it.
I
Yeah.
noticed that. I noticed that. You're not the only one. I don't know. Like some of them, they play these mind games. I'm thinking, like, am I doing
No,
something? Like,
no. What it is there's a lot of creeps out there, man. Like there's just
yeah, I get
a
that.
lot of
I get
people
it.
that want to get you out of a guise, you know. And you just went into my
Yeah,
spam, and
yeah,
it helped that you sent another interview. So I was like, oh, okay, this
yeah.
is a real person. This is fine.
Oh, so I
But
gotta keep doing it. I gotta keep doing it.
yeah,
That's what you. All right. You got one more from Rolando G. Thank you, Heather. I will check you, pick your page, more information, and all the race George Page. Welcome and good luck in 2024.
thank you.
And then I think he said something about me. Yeah, Clyde,
Yeah,
it can be frustrating. Just let it be passionate. So, but thank you for your time. I really appreciate you
absolutely.
coming. All
Yeah,
right.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, folks. This is it. Thank you.